Welcome back to the Keiser Report. I'm Max Keiser. Time now to turn to Oliver Morris, who is a Python developer and who is 15 years old. Oliver, welcome to the Keiser Report.
Thank you for having me, Max.
It's great to see you. We saw you up in Dublin at MoneyConf, and we got to meet you. We know that you've been developing Maxcoin for a few years. And I understand it, you, when 8 years old, first saw Keiser Report, is that correct?
Yeah.
And then you started to get into crypto.
Yeah.
So what I want to know is, walk me through what were the steps? In other words, okay, you're watching Keiser Report. You're like, okay, this guy Max is like, he's obviously insane, but Stacy seems like she's normal.
Yeah.
So I'll keep watching. And then, oh, crypto, what's that? So then,
Doing research.
Yeah, how do you like get into crypto from just what happened at that moment?
So I researched on Bitcoin and understanding of Bitcoin and the blockchain. And then, well, 8 years old, I didn't get too much into it until I was about 11 or 12. But I obviously knew about it back then. And I was only 8. That's when I was doing the gaming, and I was more into gaming and not programming at all. But so from the last 3 or 4 years, I've been into Bitcoin and development. But my way I got into Bitcoin was through Chris Ellis. And I tweeted to him once I saw him on the Keiser Report in 2016, talking about his full node Raspberry Pi project.
That's right. He was very big into getting nodes out there on the Raspberry Pi. And the Raspberry Pi is a
little miniature computer that stores all its memory on a micro SD card.
There's a lot of inputs, outputs, and ports and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
It's got all, you can stick your keyboard, Ethernet. You can it's all in a little Raspberry Pi.
Yeah, yeah.
Chris Ellis has always been a big name in the space, getting people into crypto. And then you started to learn Python. Was that hard?
So me learning Python, I was programming with another developer and also Chris, and so we were pretty much teaching each other about Python, and I was learning from him the Bitcoin Raspberry Pi and installing Bitcoin, and then I also wrote bash scripts for installing Bitcoin on the Raspberry Pis.
And how much do you watch like YouTube and stuff? Like, is that part of this like self-autodidactic learning process?
I learned Python off YouTube, like loads of different tutorials on Python, the basics, the intermediate, and advanced in Python. And so I just learned from the basics, and then obviously Bitcoin on YouTube is not too much when I was first getting into it in 2014 or 2015, but it's more now. But I was thinking, obviously, writing more videos or teach people about the Bitcoin.
What is Python?
Python is a programming language. It was written in the 90s, and it's a really, really good language. It's got so many different libraries for writing websites, and I do a lot of the Bitcoin Python libraries for writing, like using the Bitcoin blockchain, and you grabbing all the blockchain data from the blocks, so block hash, the Merkle root, the transaction hash, and all the other stuff that's in a block.
There are a number of other coins out there, so-called altcoins. And of course, Maxcoin is one of them. You're big into the Maxcoin space. We'll talk about that in a second. But tell me about this altcoin market, because it seems like it's a place to kind of experiment, right?
I've kind of written my own coin. Well, I have forked Litecoin before. I didn't launch it or anything like that, and I was just messing around with the main.c++ file, looking at each of the hash genesis block, the genesis block, and all the info within that file. So I was experimenting on how a blockchain is created. And I've also written Python code working with the algorithm SHA-256 and SHA-3, and kind of just hashing lines of code, and just released it on my own GitHub.
For people who don't know what GitHub is, tell them?
GitHub is an open source platform for releasing your code. And so it's for free. You can open source your code for the code that you've written to upload so people can download it or view it online. What's
amazing to me is that up until recently, the whole world of engineering and technology and developing expertise in all this required one to go to university, to study quite diligently to go into the lab and experiment. But here you are, you're starting at 8, you're now 15, and you're involved with open source. You've got all the information you need on YouTube, and you're programming altcoins, and you're looking at Bitcoin. So you've imagined and built your own world. Do you feel like that, or are you so immersed in it now that it just seems completely normal?
I suppose, yeah, when you speak to other people and they say, what is that? And then you kind of have to try and explain. I mean, you kind of feel how much you actually know, or you kind of, so writing or code, or also about being in university. I would have to go to university to study this, but being homeschooled, I've been able to study it for the last 3 or 4 years and be dedicated. And
Right,
actually
so
dedicate
on
to
that
it.
homeschool point, I was talking to your dad, Simon, and in fact, he recognized that this was a passion of yours, and it would be years before they had it in school.
Yeah.
So he homeschooled you, and you just have immersed yourself in this, and now you are fully dedicated to it. What are the next programs or languages, or what's next for you to learn?
Probably C or C++, so I can get more into actually building on the blockchain with the actual source code of like Maxcoin or Bitcoin and other altcoins, so I can actually understand the actual source code of the blockchain. I understand the actual, like say, Genesis block or the hashing algorithm, and also the different transaction hashes, but actually programming actually with the blockchain for learning a language like C++, I think that's my next goal.
For somebody who says, Oliver, tell me about Maxcoin, why is it so great? What do you say?
So Maxcoin is, I say, more secure than a Bitcoin, or using SHA-3 and Schnorr signatures and quantum resistant. But yeah, but I don't know, it's hard to explain.
Aside from just being associated with Max Kaiser, which of course gives it an incredible cachet globally, and not only in the crypto space, but in the local population of humans here on planet Earth, aliens traveling through space. You can travel through time with Maxcoin. You can go through Stacy's not going to help you.
I was talking him. I was talking him.
Only joking. No.
Yeah.
So, but you like Maxcoin, and you think it's something worthy to work on.
Also, the team as well, I think, is really good. So
Who's on the team?
David Serrano, Joe Zan, Alex Atomina, loads of other really good developers.
I think there's a meetup in the fall
Oh, yeah.
in Portugal.
Portugal.
Didn't you get the memo on that?
Yeah, I did. I think it's in September, isn't it?
I think
Or
so.
October.
We got to work on that.
Yeah,
Big meetup.
Big meetup, yeah.
Down in Portugal on Maxcoin. So are people surprised when they learn that you're 15 years old, or am I missing some kind of thing going
I
on?
suppose what David said is it's not ageism, and it's also not, obviously, my intelligence or my age is, I suppose David didn't believe me, and I suppose even probably Stacey didn't believe me when I said I'm 15 years old, but when I really got to know me, I suppose then they realised I'm 15 years old, but it's kind of a shock to some people.
Yeah, I didn't believe it myself. Stacey was saying, oh, Oliver Morrissey watched a show when he was 8. But, people do come up to us and say, we like the show, it's changed our lives to some degree, or we got crypto and really is a big influence on us. But this is like a new thing for us, where someone who is like 8 and is now seemingly been directed, it's going someplace that we have some kind of influence on. Where are you taking us? Where are we going? Where am I headed? What's going on?
Mars? No, the future, or the future of crypto. Oh.
Well, I mean, I feel so overwhelmed at times, Oliver. This whole crypto space is so big and ever-changing. And you've got the youth, and your brain is still fresh. I'm decrepit and old, and I can barely get through a day without dribbling on myself. What can I look forward to?
I suppose my intelligence, or also the future of I could teach you programming maybe, or I suppose, I don't know about if you'd want to learn that with.
Well, if you say that's the thing to do,
Yeah.
You have a lot of confidence. Where does that come from? Where do you get your confidence from? Is it just in the? Where is it?
I've been singing or performing, I suppose, on stage, doing singing since I was 3 years old. So I suppose confidence since I was 3 or 4 years old for all this time, and then doing the World Crypto Network or be on the show with Chris back in 2016. I was able to talk more, so it's got the confidence for me to.
I noticed that scar on your, not scar, but a bruise on your face from kickboxing.
Kung fu.
Is that how you, kung fu?
Yeah.
Is that how you unwind now? A little kung fu, a little programming?
I've been doing Kung Fu for about almost 6 years now, and I'm a black belt, and I do Tai Chi as well, so I do meditation as a good way to unwind or
You're like a
relax.
real renaissance, man.
Yeah.
All this is all happening at the same time. Well, I mean, I'm completely gobsmacked. The more we talk, the more I'm wondering,
Learning.
are you some kind of vision from the future? I mean, you're like a hologram or a shapeshifter. Are you, in fact, a quantum particle sent from the future to test the quantum resistance of MaxCoin? Whoa! Oh, I'm back. Well, fabulous. Oliver, let's go on to the next question then, shall we? You hear about people in the tech space like Bill Gates or Steve Jobs, and they totally transform the industry. They're visionaries. Do you think you might be following in their footsteps, or is that just being over the top?
suppose not. I suppose the influence or being able to teach other people. Now, I'd really like to teach more people in the space, maybe even younger people as well, if they were interested or actually would dedicate more to it like I have. But yeah, I suppose I like to be quite a good influencer in the space.
Right. So
Program.
you're going to use your powers of influence to educate.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty noble.
Yeah.
What's going on? Like, you just have such a great presence about you. It's very impressive. We've got MaxCoin going down. We got conferences coming up, more and more of them. When you travel around the world, do you look out for folks and say, hey, they're getting into crypto, they're getting into Bitcoin, you're looking for adoption? Do you try to, tell people about it on your travels? Or do you consider yourself like a disciple of Satoshi in that way?
Yeah, I do try and tell other people about the Bitcoin or crypto, but a lot of people, I suppose, not really interested or they don't understand it, or you try and explain it, and then as I was trying to help other people, it's hard to explain it. Also, just teaching Python, all the basics, and I've known so many different people that in school studying just Python or programming in general, but they kind of get bored. And I suppose if you get into blockchain or you have the right influences to help inspire you more to learn more, then you might carry on learning.
Yeah, I think we were talking to Jimmy Song, right? Jimmy Song has a program. He's developing programmers and doing a lot of creating programmers. And I think probably get you into one of the Jimmy Song sessions coming up soon. And that's a real credit to the programming industry. Jimmy, we got one for you here. But anyway, we got to go. Thanks for being on the Kaiser Report.
Thank you, Max.
All righty. That's going to do it for this edition of the Kaiser Report with me, Max Kaiser, and Stacey Herbert. I'd like to thank our guest, Oliver Morris. If you want to find us on Twitter, it's Kaiser Report. Until next time, bye, y'all.